Good to see you. Thanks for having me. Of course. Happy to join you. Talk Snyder Cut. I've seen it 5 times so far. I cannot get enough. I'm obsessed with it. I cannot get enough of it. It's so wonderful. It's everything that the fans fought so hard to see. It's his true vision of these characters. I think it's honestly, I think it's the best DC movie ever made because
Yes.
if you love DC characters, if you love the DC universe, I've never seen the full team portrayed this way, and it has such respect and love and passion and admiration for the characters and for this world. I think Zack knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, that's a lot of beautiful scenes in this new movie. There's the whole Flash and Cyborg. They are awesome here. It's beautiful. The scenes, the Flash is completely different than the 2017 version. Now, it's
That version did such a horrible job with Flash. And
yeah.
Flash is one of my favorite DC characters. He's
He's the most powerful. He's a lot powerful and one of the most powerful characters in the whole DC universe, huh?
and they made him a coward in the
Yeah, exactly. He can just push people and go run. What the? There's no sense. That's why do you think they cut off a lot of scenes on the 2017 version? There's a logical reason for that.
Well, at the time, I think the studio really wanted a 2-hour movie. You know, because when it's 2 hours and you're showing it in a movie theater, you can show it more often over the course of one day. It's mainly geared towards selling tickets. And honestly, this 4-hour version that Zack has delivered, I don't know how it would play in theaters. Like it has to be on streaming services. That's where
Yes.
because people can pause it. I know I've heard from several people who are doing it according to the chapters, that they are breaking it up. And while I think the whole movie works great as a 4-hour sit, I totally understand that people don't have the time, that it is
Yeah.
hard. And
I watch it. I watch it in one time. I watch it full 4 hours. I sit down and watch. I cannot leave. I bought some things to eat while watching, but I can't. I was so focused on the movie that I forget the world around me.
Yes, that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be.
Mm.
But I just know it would be really hard to get a 4-hour cut of a movie into theaters. And so I think what happened in 2017 is the studio just said, you have to figure out some way to make this a 2-hour film. And so they just cut out all the significant things.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of scenes that could be in the 2 hours movie, like the Flash scenes would. I guess they could be in the 2 hours movie. I don't know why they cut off the scenes.
Well, and think of all of Cyborg's backstory, like
Yes.
everything that made him such a tragic character.
Yeah.
All just ripped out. And so I'm glad that it's back in and people are starting to figure out how important Victor Stone is to this universe.
Yes, and I guess the movie it's so hard to think how this movie would gonna be if it was launched in 2017. Do you think that the movie is better now on the streaming and online services? Do you think the movie was better launched now, or do you think this version could be a 2 hours version of the Snyder Cut could be in 2017?
No. It had to wait.
It had.
And I think if you think of how many other important superhero movies we've seen since 2017 that have really changed how people view superhero films.
Yes.
Logan is a movie that made Wolverine more of an adult character.
Mhm.
Black Panther, competed
Yes.
for Best Picture nomination.
Yes.
Infinity War and Endgame, and even just expanding the DC universe with solo movies for Wonder Woman and Aquaman and even Shazam, although Shazam was a little more kid friendly.
Yes.
It expanded the world and expanded how people treat comic book movies. So now when we sit down to do the full 4 hours of Zack Snyder's Justice League, you're treating it like serious material. It's not like, oh, this is a kid movie because it's a comic book film. Comic book films don't have to be kid movies. They can really get into adult topics, and that's what this movie does.
And also, the kids who watched the movie, the first Iron Man, today isn't grown man. No, today we are not kids anymore. Who watched it? There's a lot of things changing now, and I think the Snyder Cut is a lot of it. And Zack Snyder I was thinking that Zack Snyder is a man beyond his time, because with Sucker Punch he brings us a lot of the female protagonism on it. On Watchmen is a beautiful scenes and an adult movie. So I think Snyder Cut is really about it to be a version of adults, and we can enjoy it a lot. So I want to ask you now, what is your when did you realize that release the Snyder Cut could be a great book? When did you think, oh, I need to write a book about it?
That's a terrific question. I had heard a lot about the Snyder Cut movement. I'd heard about the people who were pushing
conspiracy theories, a lot conspiracy.
Well, they were really loud on social media. You know, if you're on social media, you know, hashtag release Snyder Cut.
Today, the release Snyderverse is already on the trending topics, I guess.
Of course it is. Yes, I'm not surprised in the least bit. But in New York City, they purchased billboards, digital billboards that was advertising the Snyder Cut of Justice League. Mm-hmm. And when I saw them do that, I mean, I would not know how to buy a billboard in New York City. So I was pretty blown away by the fact that they did that. And I started to say to myself, like, I got to figure out who these guys are. I want to find out who the fans are. And my wife, I give a lot of credit to, because I was really interested in the movie. I was interested in what happened to Justice League. And I wanted to get into the sort of behind the scenes stuff at the studio and really figure out what went wrong with Zack. And she was the one who said to me, my wife was the one who said to me, like, no, I'm more interested in the people in the movement, you know, like, what's their story? How come they are giving their time and their energy to this cause? Find out that. And I think if you put the two of them together, you'll have a good story. And she was right. Once I started to interview the people in the movement and figure out why they connected to Zack's movies, why the movement was so important to them. And I mean, they spent 3 years fighting for this movie. Like, that's a really long time for fans to stay invested in a movie that at the end of the day, you know, yes, they're able to see it now and we're thrilled, but for 3 years, they were never sure whether it was going to come out or not. So this was it was a big leap of faith. And the more I learned about the people in the movement, the more I wanted to tell their story in a book form.
Okay. Oh, there's a lot of people in this movement. There's a huge movement. And there's a lot of people crazy. That you met a lot of fans, right? I want to know what's the crazy proof that these guys are crazy for Zack Snyder's Justice League? Why how's the level about it?
They never miss an opportunity in order to make noise and raise awareness for the Snyder Cut. And I'll give you an example. This shows how crazy they are. They rented an airplane to fly it over Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
And it had a banner pulled behind him that said "Release the Snyder Cut." I mentioned the Times Square billboard. That was a crazy thing. When they did the trending event, when they did on November 17th, 2019, they wanted to do a trending event on social media. And they got Subway, the sandwich company, in order to chime in and start to use Release the Snyder Cut. Like, Subway's a big sandwich chain here in the US.
Yeah.
And the Snyder Cut movement knows, like, once somebody like that does it, you know, it's awareness, it's marketing, you know, and they jumped on it. And they never missed an opportunity to take advantage of something like that when it happened. So I love that even just today, Subway was like, if you're sitting down to watch a Snyder Cut, here's the sandwich that you need to order.
Awesome.
That stuff is so funny to me. I just think it's
yeah, that's a crazy fan. I think now Warner has a huge problem because it's impossible to watch any DC movie without thinking about Snyder Cut. It changes everything, you know. There's a lot of new scenes. There's a whole new way to tell the story. Do you think this can get anywhere else right now? We can see something of Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 on animation or comic book or something.
I would love to see him do it in an animated form.
It would be awesome.
Like, imagine if Jim Lee decided to do the art, you know, for Zack Snyder's story. Mm-hmm. It's easier to do it in an animated form because the idea of getting all the actors back together to do a sequel is really hard and very expensive. But if you have animators doing it, it's easier for them to do. You know, I do think that Warner Brothers, you're right. It's going to be really difficult for people to watch the next few movies without thinking like what would happen with Zack's films. But they have some really exciting movies coming. Like, I do want to see what is going to happen with Ezra Miller's Flash movie, where they're bringing back Michael Keaton's Batman, and Ben Affleck is going to be in that also, and we're going to meet a new Supergirl. Like, that's an exciting movie. I really do want to see The Rock as Black Adam.
Yes.
You know? Tune into the Shazam film. Like, I do want to see what James Wan and Jason Momoa are going to do in the Aquaman world. Like, there's plenty of movies that I do want to see on the DC side. I think I want to see Matt Reeves as Batman.
Yes,
fantastic movie. It looks great.
This trailer is awesome. The Robert Pattinson is an awesome Batman for me. I loved it.
So I understand that Zack's fans really want to see what else is going on with his vision, and I do hope that someday we do get to see that, but I don't want them to lose sight of the fact that if you're a DC fan, you're in a really good spot right now. There's some really exciting movies coming and some good actors who've been cast in the roles. I think Gal is going to come back as Wonder Woman, potentially with Patty, you know, directing, and maybe someone else, because I know Patty's going to go over and direct some Star Wars films. Yeah. So the universe is in a pretty good spot right now.
Yes, I think that there's a lot of things that Zack Snyder could do now, but I guess the hard part of it would be the whole thing with Ray Fisher and Walter Hamada, and there's a lot of polemic about it. So I guess the really thing is these things like this. It makes a difficult way for Zack Snyder.
It is, and I have been saying to the fans, and I know it's hard to hear right now, but the fight that you guys launched, you know, for 3 years was to get this movie released. And I don't want fans to forget that this movie was never supposed to come out.
Yes.
I know once you see it, you immediately want to know what's next. But don't let that take away from the celebration that you got this movie.
Yes.
It's a big win. It's a huge win, and enjoy it.
Yes. Talking about a huge win, how do you think this will gonna impact the whole industry right now? Do you think how is your thoughts about it?
I think that it's a big win for the streaming services.
Yes.
I think that they're going to take more chances. Before we see more Zack Snyder stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if HBO Max released David Ayer's Suicide Squad.
It would be awesome. And there's another one called Joel Schumacher's cut of Batman Forever. I would loved it. They had to do this.
Yeah. So I see those kind of working, but I'm not quite sure how many other directors are going to get their cut of their movies released. I think this is a pretty unique situation, and that Zack kind of, pushed this along for 3 years and ended up getting his win, but I'm not sure what major impact it's going to have on the industry.
Oh, that's really true. I guess there's a lot of people talking about it. The next decade is the fan decade. So we're going to decide a lot of things. And that's awesome. As a fan, we want to see a lot of things in the movie. It would be awesome. I'm very anxious about every Star Wars movie from now on because they are hearing us. This is the message. I guess the Snyder Cut is one awesome movie because he's a message. He's more than a movie. He is no longer just a movie. And that's awesome. That's wonderful. When we could imagine something like that. So,
well, because you believed in a director, you believed in a filmmaker, and you
yes.
believed in his vision, and I think that's really important.
Yes. So, and Sean, I had another question here. And so, which is the best part of Snyder Cut in your opinion? Which one was the best part of it for you?
The fact that they raised so much money for charity.
Yeah, there's a lot of effort for Zack Snyder on suicide prevent, no, and there's a lot of things. He's very engaged in this movement, and that's awesome too.
They raised almost right now. It's up to almost $600,000.
Awesome.
For a group called the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And that money goes to putting people on telephones so that they can be there to answer when someone calls and needs help. It pays for therapists to work with people who need help. And that idea for mental health awareness and suicide prevention, they're difficult topics. Some people feel uncomfortable talking about them, but I think that what work that the Snyders have done and the work that the movement has done to keep a focus on the importance of that has, Zack has pointed out that this has saved lives.
Yes.
And it's what makes it feel like more than a movie, and more than just this comic book push that everybody's trying to get. It's a movement where we're all kind of looking out for each other and keeping an eye on mental health and making sure that we're all getting through these tough times.
Yes, and that's another thing on Snyder Cut, because he leaves a message for us of hope and a lot of things. The whole Superman story is a message for hope, no? His symbol is hope. And I guess the Snyder Cut movement make this a huge thing. And right there, that's awesome, because in your book, I'll start reading it. And in the beginning, you said everything happens for a reason. And it's beautiful how everything fits to this moment. And 2020, a lot of things, me and a lot of things that I know as a content producer, we got a lot sad with things that were happening in our countries, the economy breaks, and Snyder Cut came with all this, and he make a way to talk about it. That's wonderful.
It really is. I think everything lined up perfectly for this movie.
The planets aligned. Oh.
Yes, I don't know if we would have appreciated it nearly as much if we got a shortened version back in 2017. I think we needed to go through a difficult time to come out on the other side and have this movie waiting for us. And it speaks to us on so many different levels now. And you keep saying it's beautiful. You're right. It's just a beautiful film. And I hope more people check it out and appreciate what Zack accomplished.
Yes. You were with Zack Snyder personally on the Army of the Dead set, huh? Right?
I was, yes. I was lucky to go.
At that time, what is Zack Snyder's feeling about this? How he believed it, he always believed it, that someday this could be for us to watch, or he didn't believe it. What's it?
He absolutely believed it. And one of the things that I thought was so important was that at any given point over the course of this entire journey, Zack is the only person who had the ability to say to the movement, I appreciate everything you guys have done. Thank you so much for your support, but there is no Snyder Cut. And whatever you're fighting for, whatever you're pushing for, it doesn't exist. Like let's all as a collective fan base, let's move on to the next thing, Mm-hmm. And he didn't. He encouraged the fan base all the time. And on the set of Army of the Dead, he told me, and this was so important, he said, I will never tell them to move on because I think that would take away from the amount of work that they've done up to this point. And awesome. I don't want to minimize the work and the effort and the passion that they've put into fighting for this cut. So instead, he encouraged it. And I think he just kept a positive state of mind, which is if we continue to fight for this, if we continue to keep the focus on the cut, we're eventually going to get our way. And it worked.
Yes. Yeah. Zack Snyder is, I guess, the time that passed through 2017 to nowadays, it was important for us as fans. Do not blame Zack Snyder for the mistakes that executives made before. No, I think when Batman vs Superman came out, and a lot of people was sending a lot of hate to Zack Snyder, no, saying, "Oh, he's not a good director." And now we realize that when he had the control of the situation and he can make these ideas come true, it becomes another movie, and that's awesome too.
Exactly. It actually couldn't have worked out better for Zack. And he went through a really difficult time.
Yes.
There was a different version of his movie that got put out, and it had his name on it, which it shouldn't have had his name on it.
This is a horrible thing.
So I know that it was really tough, and I know that he had to endure a lot. But in the end, he gets his version of the movie out there. And so I hope that he's just able to celebrate the fact that even though it was a difficult process, in the long run, right now, his fans are able to press play on the version of the movie that he wants to give them. Yeah. And that's the best win. That's the biggest victory.
Okay, so Sean, 20 minutes are arriving. So I want to make this last question. About the book. How was your feeling seeing this success about your book has been awesome on Amazon. I saw it. There's congratulations for an awesome book.
You.
And
thank you.
Tell us your experience writing it. What did you learn with it? And what you can say, the message you can left to the Brazilian fans.
It is this whole thing has been a dream come true because I never thought I was going to try to write a book, and I didn't know that I would ever find a story that was big enough to tell. And one that I was really passionate about. I don't think that you start to write a book unless you are truly passionate about the subject.
Yes.
I love comic book movies. I mean, it's my favorite type of film. And I loved this story about everything that happened to Zack and Justice League and about the fans who fought so hard in order to make it happen. But what I'll tell you that's been truly impossible, like just blowing my mind, is that this book that I started to write a little over 2 years ago comes out 17 days before the actual Snyder Cut gets released. Like, there's no way possible that those two things could line up at all.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and now that people can watch the movie and then come out of it and say, like, what happened on Justice League? Like, how come this version is so much better? What went wrong with the 2017 movie? And then I could say, pick up this book and it will tell you exactly what happened. I just think that that's been so great. I've been so lucky and so blessed to have I poured my heart and soul into telling this story. And so to have the fans pick it up and be really excited for telling their version of the story, it makes me so proud and happy.
Yes, that's awesome, man. I'm gonna finish that book. That's an awesome story. I loved everything. I hope that someday we get a documentary of everything that happens. It will be awesome.
I want Zack to make it. I'd like Zack to make it. I think he should.
Oh, it would be awesome. He's saying it would be very awesome, and like the Snyder Cut was. So, Sean, we are ending this meet today. You have to go.
I want your review of the book when you finish.
Okay.
Send me your review.
Okay, I'll send it on Twitter.
Please do.
And we can talk later again. I can read and bring a lot of things here, and I invite you again. It would be wonderful.
It'd be my pleasure.
I really loved your work. I was at the beginning, and watch it and read it. It's awesome. It's a good thing, and thank you a lot for supporting this whole thing, because everyone has a little part on it, and that's a beautiful monument of fans and the whole industry. So thank you a lot, and thank you for your book and everything.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, Sean. Thank you. Aí. Então, galera, hoje a gente foi bem especial aqui. Foi bem especial, galera. Estávamos aqui com o Sean O'Connell. Ele escreveu o livro do Snyder Cut e falou muitas coisas pra gente, cara. Tô vendo aqui que o André chegou aqui agora, hein, André? Mano, que legal. Muito feliz, cara, de falar com o Sean. Ele escreveu um livro muito legal. Eu estou lendo o livro. Fala tudo sobre o Snyder Cut, cara, sensacional. E daqui a pouco, ou mais tarde, ou amanhã ou depois, vai ter aqui legendado no canal também, beleza? Eu vou terminar aqui agora que eu vou legendar, que ficou muito legal essa entrevista, cara. Eu sou o John de Alves e vou ficando por aqui. Valeu, pessoal!